And so from there, we were working at comic stores. What was your experience? How did you get started, like working at comic book stores?
Well, there was when I was really young, there weren't many comic book stores. So there was one in Cleveland that I would get to go to every time I got a report card and get some comic books. Most of the time, it was just hopping on my bike and going from drugstore to drugstore and seeing what was out. Then there was a store that opened up near me, and I started going in there all the time. And the owner of it finally said, "Hey, you want a job?" And I got paid in comic books, which when you're 11 and 12, getting paid in comic books. So been helping out on Diamond orders since I was probably 13 years old. So yeah, so I've been in all sides of the comics industry.
I love it. And as a kid, kind of doing that, did you learn like stuff that you use now, like what people are going to say about your book, or how they're going to sell it, or?
Yeah, I stole from I grew up in the golden age of comics. I mean, with the Claremont Byrne X-Men, John Byrne's Fantastic Four, the Wolfman Perez Titans, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, all that great stuff. Roger Stern, Bill Mantlo, all this amazing stuff that is now movies and generating billions of dollars. And I still am deeply influenced by the Teen Titans run and the Byrne Claremont X-Men run. I steal from that all the time. So
I mean, those were the great soap operas of comics.
Oh, yeah,
those
absolutely.
were the ones where people have gravitas, that like people who were getting into comics, that's where they kind of.
And the stories were rich, but they weren't all about continuity. They weren't all about stories about stories. They were about, I mean, the first issue of the X-Men I ever read was issue 111, and it was an issue with Banshee as a carnival barker on the front cover, and all these posters of the X-Men, like the Weather Witch from the North and the Beast Man from Canada. And I picked it up, and it was in the middle of an arc, and I understood it enough to come back the next month, and it made me interested. It wasn't about the minutia, which we've kind of become about today. It's all about like the thread count in Captain Kirk's shirt, not about the story. So,
but it should always be about the story.
yeah, I mean, Jim Shooter, is a controversial figure in the history of comics, but one of the things he said that I try and keep in my mind is every issue is someone's first issue. So you don't have to info dump every issue, but you should make it accessible that they can figure out the relationships. And that's something that TV soap operas did so well for years. If you watch a soap opera one day, you think this is ridiculous. If you're home and you sick with the flu and you watch it for a week, you're involved.
Of course.
But if you've been watching it for 30 years, there's references and nods to that, but not knowing that doesn't affect your enjoyment. And I say that like it's easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something you need to be aware of, especially today when there's so much content from every side. You have to try and make your stories work for both the new viewer and the old viewer.
Absolutely. And you want to get someone accessible to it right away, and then you want to have something that's in there for the people, old timers, who are big fans of the character.
And to make it even a little bit more simpler and a little bit more crude, a good drug dealer gives you your first hit for free. So if you give them a good story and they want to come back,
they keep coming back, and that's how you
50 long boxes later, you have a fan. So
that's how it works.